Look, need out. I don't need out.
Oh. Hey. You wanna know how to build this? Come on, I'll show you. See you later, boys. Have fun. It's gonna get a little chilly tonight, so maybe huddle with the chickens, okay?
No, you get out of here.
Bye. Love you.
I'm not. Then tonight.
Let's build a quick and easy chicken tractor. We're going to start off with a treated 2x4x8, and what we're going to do is we're going to find the center mark. So we're not going to cut the board down to exactly 8 feet. We're just going to find whatever the center mark is on this board as it is, because this is going outside. This is going to be a quick, fast build, so we're not too worried about exact measurements. Then what you need to do after you cut that down is you need to find 2 random boys. Make sure one's wearing pajama pants and has stuff in his hair. And then you're going to lead them through your super, super messy shop that has a half-painted floor. And then you're going to lead, which leads to outside, which is also super messy, to a nice flat piece of land. You need a flat piece of land to do this because as you'll see, we're not going to use a square, but we do want it to be as square as possible. And if you want to, you need to use a square. You probably just need to. I didn't do it. Then you're going to have your kids, those random kids, bring out some more boards because you're too lazy to get them. If they hit the tripod, make sure you fix it. And you'll proceed to then have your human clamps, aka these kids, hold down the boards for you while you just take the 2 boards that you cut, or the 1 board that you cut into 2, and you connect them into some other 2x4x8s. And once again, you can use a square right here to make sure everything's perfect. I didn't. My goal was to do this as fast and really as cheap as possible. A square's not going to add any more money unless you have to buy one, but really, you probably should use a square. It wouldn't hurt, and it wouldn't take too much extra time. I just didn't. I didn't want to walk back to the shop to get it, as you see right there in my hand. Then what you're going to do is you're going to go out into the shop and you're going to cut some boards at an angle, okay? Now, you can use the Pythagorean theorem to figure out this angle, but once again, I was in a hurry. I'm not good at math. I just didn't do it, and this is where I realized that there was a problem. And the problem is that I'm an idiot. All right. I'm an idiot. If you ever make a miter saw station and you have a miter saw that has these little things that swing out, when you make it, make sure you make room for them to swing out. Because if you don't, then, a fourth of what your miter saw can do is kind of useless to you. And then you're stuck with no idea what to do next. So what do you think I did? I did what any genius would do, and I just kept working without knowing the angle, and I just kind of winged it. And that's okay. I just really just went for an angle that would work for me, and in a minute you'll see how I made that work. So I cut it, I think I was using a 30-degree angle right here. To cut, and then I cut the ends on this flush. I did make sure that both those boards were exactly the same measurement. And so I went outside to where my kids had attempted to build it. Where my kids had attempted to build the chicken tractor, and I walked up upon this beautiful creation and decided to tear it apart. So what I'm doing right here is I'm trying to figure out how to make these boards work at the wrong angle. And my kid is trying to use a balance beam and throw a chicken around. And you notice that my kid was wearing pajama pants and they're barefoot. And you also notice where they get it from. My wife, who's also wearing pajama pants, but she's got chicken boots on, so she's kind of one step ahead of them. She's a little bit more evolved. I'm just kidding. We don't believe in evolution. We believe in Jesus. But I just want to take a minute here to admire my kids and their creativity as they try to figure out a way to launch a chicken from that board in the air. They know that chickens can only fly for a limited time, and they wanted to make the dream of a chicken flying longer a reality. But fortunately, my wife was standing there watching, and she told them to stop it. So what I'm doing here is I found an angle that would work for the boards. I had them clamped. My kid's trying to smother a chicken now in a broken shoe thing, but I'm just clamping the boards together in a way that they would work. And so that is the goal here. While my kids play with chickens, my wife stands there watching me while she's drinking coffee. I'm hard at work screwing this board in together. And you can see the angle here that I used that finally worked for me. Not like this, but you turn it and they match up and they make kind of a triangle. And so is it perfect? No. Is it fast and does it work? Yes. And so what I'm doing is I'm using the first boards that I had as kind of a template, and I'm using clamps here. I figured out later on that you really don't need clamps. You can just hold the boards together. It's not that hard, but I was guessing this whole thing through. I didn't have any plans. See, I'm just making this up as I go, and so I'm just screwing these boards together, and what I'm doing is I'm just transferring that template, and I'll transfer it all the way down as that develops into the frame. You want to space this about 2 feet apart. I say about. I spaced it exactly 24 inches apart here to start off with, but it changes later on. I'll tell you why.
Oh no!
It was a little windy that day, so the tripod fell, but I picked it up. And this is 2 feet. I marked it. I didn't just eyeball it. I actually did mark it here. And you want 2 feet on center, okay? Make sure you measure it out right. Put it 2 feet on center. Have your kid test it out with the chicken to make sure it's stable enough. And then you go back to making more.
Mom.
Really? Making more of those trusses. I don't know if it's called a truss. What is that? Anyway, whatever those things are called, you make more of them. And so now I need spacers, because what you would technically do if you did the Pythagorean theorem and found out the right angle that you needed to make this perfect and right, you would run a board straight down the center of the top. But I didn't do that, so what I did instead was I measured the bottom, and I think it came out to about 21 or 22 inches. You'll have to just measure it. Make sure it's the same spacing at the top as it is at the bottom. That's really important to keep it square-ish. Okay, this isn't going to be perfect. It's not perfect. It's a quick, cheap chicken tractor, but it's square enough, okay? Just don't put a clamp there where you can't screw in the screw. And honestly, once again, I put clamps on here. They weren't necessary. I didn't need the clamp. It was easier to hold it, and it took more time to put the clamp up. And once again, the goal is to make this fast.
By the way, I took a lot of power.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So apparently he wanted me to open the drink for him. I thought he was bringing me a drink, but he just wanted it open so he could drink it. How nice of him. And as your kids fight in the background and you look on without having a care in the world, because he's going to get over it. Look, watch. He's over it. You go back into the shop and cut some more wood. And make sure once again that it's the same length for both boards, and just continue tracing out that template. And this is going to be a little different here, because what you're going to see next is I need to put wheels on, and that back part's not going to work to put wheels on. So we're going to have to change up the spacing on this a little bit. And so I moved that template. I actually moved it 6 inches in. You probably need to move it in a little bit more, and I'll tell you why in the next video. But it needs to be moved in a little bit more than 6 inches in, but that's what I went for. I didn't have the wheels bought yet, so I didn't know what size they were going to be. I thought 6 inches would be enough. It wasn't. And then you go on and you put that last frame piece at the back of that board. Why the back? I don't really know. It's just what I did. And it could go in the front, and it might have actually been better to put it in the front, but the back worked for me for now. And you continue just bracing it up a little bit better as your wife looks on. She's wearing pants this time, and my kid's wearing pants too, and shoes. Little girl's back there doing whatever she wants. Look how sturdy that is. All right, well, that's the end of part 1 of this video. Listen, this video is going to be 3 parts. Actually, it's going to be 4 parts if you include the door. Just a little heads up, the door that I have on there right now is a slide up and slide down door. I'm going to make a door with hinges, but I thought that could be a video all on its own. So be looking out for part 2 and part 3. The thing is done, I just got to make the videos, so they should be out soon.